for that one.
Is it an actual Kenny Powers jersey? Like, is it got the name on the back? Did you get it from Timu?
I probably I ordered it somewhere where they don't have to worry about licensing. I know that much.
I've got some good shit from Timu. I got a Wayne Gretzky Canada Cup jersey, and
Oh,
then I got a I don't know if the reference will go over your head or not, either of you. A Dean Youngblood jersey.
Oh yeah, I know that one.
yeah,
Okay.
that's up there. There you
Yeah.
go. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I'll show you the other one I got that I'm actually more excited about because the front and the back is correct. I'll save it for later in the show, but don't let me forget.
Oh gosh,
Um,
I can hardly
Also,
wait.
I did get a Ricky Vaughn one
Oh,
um,
nice.
that came with, I kid you not, the like the horn rim glasses with the skull and crossbones in the middle, man. So my Halloween is squared away.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Solid. Big Dan Gashaw, are you there, buddy?
Can you hear us, Dan?
It looks like he's coming.
Yeah.
Let's see.
See a black box that says Dan.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is
This
he
is
on the
what it looked.
same?
This is what it looked like for defensive ends trying to get around him. So I mean, it's
Just a black box, just
this is
death.
you can't see anything. You're just heading into a black hole and hoping to get out.
Yeah.
Nice
Is he?
test.
I was gonna say, is he on the same technological
He should be
parallel
pretty
as
advanced, I feel like. I don't
okay.
know. Let's see. He's
He's
usually
not he's not Brian Davis. Oh wait, he can hear you guys. Not sure what's going on. My mic is not working. Oh, okay. So he can
uh,
hear us. So we can just talk shit about Dan for a 45-minute podcast and he just can't
Well,
hear us.
not working.
He might have to kick out and come back in.
Try.
And I said no, he's not a tick out.
we can always pull a Brian Davis. He'd have to drive over to my
Yeah,
house, but there's always that opportunity.
yeah, you're the closest. He's in Morton, so you're the closest, Brent.
Try and log out, Dan, and see if you can get back and then come back
He
in.
can use this. The link will be the same, Dan. You can use the same link. So
Is he? I mean, if worse comes to worse, he can try on his phone. I don't know if he's phone now or laptop, but
Yeah, dial in.
yeah,
yeah. I mean, at least we get sound that way.
Yeah, I think he'll figure it out.
okay,
I've got faith in him. Let's
yeah.
see.
We were just discussing Brent. He said try to phone. We were just discussing who we're gonna what team we're gonna use on the next college football, and I told Dom I think I've settled on the Minnesota State Screaming Eagles. I think that's gonna.
I've never been anything but Illinois.
You've
Ever.
never you were never the
No.
creative team guy.
I mean, I think I've never created, but like
Oh, he
sometimes
creates
back when they give
himself.
you the one double A teams, I'd try to coach my way up, but yeah, like the year Dom and I were going to play it through the championship, I knew I couldn't be Illinois. True story. On last year's version, I went back uh, and I used the regular players till I could, but once they were all gone, I found the 1980 Illinois roster and
Oh
worked them
yeah.
up through 80
Oh my,
to 80 to forward and like whatever I would draft, I would find the player who best
Oh,
fit.
you change them. You change
Yeah, I mean,
names.
like when you get the draftees, you can't change the ones that are in it now, right? So after about 4 or 5 years, it was pretty fun.
You
I
know,
mean,
you can download those like to save yourself oodles of time.
but
You
you
can
can't go back to like you. I mean, there's no Illinois 1980, right?
I,
So
I I would
that
bet
might
I
be.
would bet somewhere
That
if
might
you
be.
I
yeah,
Yeah.
mean,
I
I
would
got
bet
I got to the
somewhere you
90s,
could
tried to find like a really slinging it quarterback like George. I didn't take him as a first year train. That's the other thing you ran out of was like the guys who
yeah.
left and came. But you looked at the stat book and you just worked your way back through the draft. Dude, it was a blast. I mean,
There
it
there
was
are there are people out there that will create like the entire roster though. Like you could probably find it. Now if you don't, I
yeah.
mean, obviously you don't want to waste time doing it for the one if you're going to get the new one, but you
Yeah, they're
could
the same
probably
guys
find
who
it.
they were third string on that team, but now they're an 87 overall and
Yeah.
created the whole squad.
Hey, it's
I
it's
mean,
uh that's the fun part. We did one. I was telling Dom we've got a bunch, but we did one where we all picked a an FCS school. So like I'm Idaho,
yeah,
another guy's the Citadel, one guy is North Dakota State, and then one guy is Central Arkansas. And
love
so
it.
we're in year 4 of that one now, and we're all in the SEC in the same division in the SEC.
Oh, that's the other reason I went back and started that in 80 was I changed the conferences every year to
Oh
match what
yeah,
was going
gosh,
on.
yeah,
And it got really hard to do, but
yeah,
I mean, I had to create the Big East out of one of the new ones and
yeah.
had a ton of indies and it didn't always work, but it was pretty cool when it did. I
I
mean,
hate,
every year I'd alternate, Penn State finally came to the Big Ten,
yeah.
It was fun.
I
That was
I
cool.
hate I hate that I made so in one of the other ones I'm Notre Dame, so I asked him to put me in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
But I immediately, if I'm doing one online or offline, I immediately take all of those Pac-10 teams and out of the Big Ten. Like
Like,
put
yeah, you
no
get the
go
old whack. Like you had,
yeah,
I took
get the
this
F
year, I
out.
took the one of the West Coast conferences, and one half of it was the WAC, and one half was Mountain West or something, to
Yeah.
play because there were too many.
Yeah.
But it was cool running them down through till there was there was a ton of independence until there was none left, and then like the teams as they came into they were all independents till they came into D1, right?
Right.
And then you stuck them where they should be. That was a lot of fun. Now that shit I did.
Yeah. No,
Um,
yeah. It's an ever addicting game. I got to look now because it's uh my time to get it because it's coming out soon, but it's probably $100. Like it's crazy how expensive they are.
in 2003 on my PC because it was better and it was just easier to type everything in. I did create the entire Capital City Outlaws
Oh, I
as
did that.
as
I
an
did that all
NFL
the
team.
time.
And
Yeah.
I mean, we looked I took, with the keyboard, it was so easy.
Uh-oh.
That year, one of the play-in songs was the anthem by Good Charlotte. I heard it 1,000 times until I knew every word to that. So you remember it, Salvo. You did too, right? We played in the Edward Jones Dome.
Oh gosh. Are you getting
Oh, look at
this ready for when he shows back up?
Yeah, this is just I just got a couple plays on here for him so he can see it. He's probably never seen this, but it's one play. This was the first touchdown we ever scored, and it's Smizer unloads on somebody at fullback, and then Gashaw ends up pushing George into the end zone.
Nice.
And then the other clip I have is the infamous one where I ran around like an idiot for 10 seconds behind the line of scrimmage, and then finally got the lecture from Dan.
And then he yelled at you.
Stay in the pocket. You can see at the end of the clip he's barking at me as we're going back to the huddle.
I love it.
The field,
That's
he grabbed me and was like, "Hey." So
That field looks so much better than it felt.
It really did look from far away. It looked good. What was that? What was painted on? What's in the?
It was spray paint. The end zone was spray. It was hard as a rock.
Well, what's on the 5-yard line? What's the?
I can't remember we'll have to play and see it, but I remember Ramada was on there. That might be Ramada, and then
Ramada
Hotel.
Yeah.
The IFL logo at midfield didn't look terrible either. It looked pretty decent.
You guys spray painted the end zone again, right? They looked super white, but it just hardened into rock. Yeah. I do
there he
remember
is.
And off again goes. So there goes. There's big.
On, now he's
George in.
Oh,
you guys got me?
We got video too?
We got you, man. Can you
All
hear
right.
us all?
Yeah.
In the closet. Hang on.
Well, yeah, Dom decided to pull up some old video clips just to make you feel older than we all really are. So
Oh, Jiminy Christmas.
I know. He's trying to play them right now.
Let me play this first one. Hold on. My computer's not really being friendly here. But this is the first touchdown we ever scored. I was telling him, Dan, I don't know if you've ever even seen any of this, but this was the first game against Tazewell, first touchdown scored. We run left tackle off of your ass, and Smithers at fullback. He gets a killer block, and then you knock George into the end zone. So I'll go ahead and
Reynolds is down there on the ground too by the time it's over. I saw that.
Always, yeah.
Reynolds was always on the ground.
Always on the ground.
There we go. There's Pete's block.
Nice
Boom.
block down from Dan, and he stays with it.
And that's the only block ever.
Yes, I mean, Reynolds does a barrel roll at the end.
Chris Reynolds was probably the only player to ever get dirty playing on a turf field. He probably got covered in dirt playing on a turf field.
Yes.
Yeah.
Man, how are you, big dog? Been a while.
I'm alive. Barely, but I'm alive.
You look about the same, I'm going to be honest.
I'm a little
more
thinner than
gray,
I
but-
was back then. Gray, a lot grayer. Yeah.
Oh, geez, man. It's been a while. I can't remember the last time I've seen you. It's been over at least 10 years.
Yeah, it's been a bit.
It's crazy. What, so are you still at the junior high or where are you at now?
I actually teach at one of the elementary schools part-time and then the junior high rest of the day.
Okay.
And then I'm the freshman football coach and then I'm the junior high wrestling head coach.
And didn't you guys run into Gade's son last year in the playoffs in football?
No, we played him in a freshman game.
Okay. And
We played him. Yeah.
His son's
He
legit.
absolutely
Yeah.
torched us.
his
He
youngest
absolutely
one.
torched us.
You might be the best of the group. I think the youngest one. He's pretty impressive.
Tyson
he's-
said the youngest is going to be special. He's really good. Yeah.
Oh, he's an athlete. He takes
Yeah.
about 3 steps and he's 50 yards down the field. He's so smooth, catches anything.
Ah, man, he was
He
dunking.
was definitely a pain in my ass the whole game.
Imagine, I can imagine. Jeez, yeah. Well,
What we gotta get I'm always a big origin story fan, Dan. So I'm assuming did you get involved because of Gade with the Stallions, or was it the vice versa?
It was Gade. He kind of said, "Hey, he found some flyer."
Yeah.
And he said, "Hey, there's tryouts. Let's see if we can go still hang."
yeah.
Okay, why not? Might be fun. And then
You guys definitely could hang.
The question got answered pretty quick.
Yeah,
I mean,
I was gonna say, that didn't
just to
take
give the
long.
three of you a little different perspective, because Tony, I know you were there in their camp for a while. Dom, obviously, you were there, and Dan from when you showed up. I mean, so the Outlaws really. I mean, Tony, you were there. Boost was there. You know, Cody had been around just a bit. We really did take pride in thinking we set the standard for the offensive lines in the league. I mean, we really did. I mean, I think we elevated that from where it was. You'd hear about these teams who said, "Oh no, we got some dogs, we got some horses, we're going to do stuff." And then so we come into that year, and for a while, Boost isn't coming back, Tony's not coming back, and I'm looking around and I'm thinking, okay, that's a problem. And I don't know what I don't know. Those two guys come back, and I'm thinking, okay, all right, looks pretty good. Then I show up to the first game, and I see Gashaw and Reynolds and Dalby, and I'm thinking,
Yeah.
what the fuck, man? I mean, how how are those guys still there when we got back? Two of the guys I thought were some of the best offensive linemen in the league. It was, I mean, there was really, I mean, we were good. There was an intimidation factor. I mean, Chris's intensity, Dalby's history, and your size were a huge intimidation factor for that league. It really was.
Well, experience too. I mean, you got between I think we talked about this the other day, Dom. I can't remember who we were talking to, but that's like 13 years of college starting experience between the three of them. So
Yeah.
that's like you can add up a whole, the rest of the roster didn't have 13 years of college playing experience.
Fair. I mean,
I don't know how many you and Boost had, but that was all of them. So that was all.
Yeah, I remember
Boost was a Greenville guy, so I knew
Yeah.
him. They were in our conference.
Yeah. Did you guys, Dan, I don't even know how old you are. Did you guys play against, were you around when Boostinger was in college, or did you already?
Yeah. I'm just about 45.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you're not,
Yeah. He was a little younger than me, I think.
Yeah.
Or is he
a class or two behind you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the tryout he came to was the one at Gold's Gym, and we had, I mean, there was a lot of people there, if I remember.
I was there. I remember. I mean, there was probably 65
yeah, there's a lot.
80. I mean, maybe.
He walked in, and I was like, I remember saying to her, "Was like, that guy's on the team.
We can use him."
He doesn't need to do anything. Like we'll take him now, sight unseen. And
Well, I mean, part of that too, though, Dom. Like, you'd been around for a little while. Like, if a big dude showed up that like we all knew who they were, we all knew like, oh, this guy again.
Yeah.
But when the big guys that like nobody knew of showed up, and he was probably wearing a MacMurray shirt, so it's immediate credibility. Yeah, oh yeah, everyone's kind of eyes and ears perked towards him, because it's somebody that is probably really talented. Because if not, I love Titovius, but if Titovius shows up, everyone's just like, get out of here. Like, who, this guy again?
I always judged them by if the shoulders were bigger than the gut, and some of us managed to pull that off for a long time, thank God, right? I mean, wear a 52 suit coat carries you a lot of places. And if they walked, depending on their age too a little bit, but if they walked squarely without a bad limp, like I'm like, hey, those guys are useful because they're athletic, right? They're athletic.
Yeah.
I gotta add, I always check out the butts. If you have an offensive lineman with a big bubble butt, he can squat, he can bend. You get these big fat guys with a flat butt, they don't move.
No. They also can't get in the 3-point stance.
Have no ass at all.
That's the dead give. The other dead giveaway. Yeah. If they get in like some, like if Dom tried to get in a 3-point stance right now, like that'd be some of the offensive line stances that some of those guys had.
Yeah. No offense. The knees would be out. Right.
No offense, Dom.
It'd be like Tony running at fullback. But yeah, I had no ass at all. You know, the long arm. I do have arms not like George long, but a little longer. But you're right. Those dudes, the dudes that stayed thick in the back, not the front, they were trouble for a lot of defensive ends.
That Stallions offensive line all had juicy asses. I'll tell you that. I mean,
Jesus Christ.
Well, that's when I was 340.
yeah, dude.
Oh wow.
340.
You did not. I would never.
340.
I would never have thought you were 340.
He's pretty lean too for
Yeah.
340.
I mean, it was an athletic three. I mean, I was probably 315 at that point. And so, I mean, that's a big I mean, I remember seeing it was a different 340. No offense to the guys who were good players than Dave's Robertson's 360 or Shatovius's 350.
Right.
It was a different looking 340. It was a different 340 than Dave Mall's, 280 too, because it moved.
Well, but also like, because what are you, Dan? 6'7",
6'5".
Okay, 6'5". He's 6'5", 340. On the other side, you had Dalby, who was 5'11", 340. So that's
based on the video. I was gonna say 360. If you're 340, Dan, Dalby's got to be 360.
So they were that, but I mean, look, we've talked about it before. That was probably person to person one of the best offensive lines that's ever been.
By far looked the part better than
had the experience
more than any O-line I've ever seen. By far had more experience, and probably by far was more intimidating, and I mean, probably honestly, I know you guys didn't stay together for that many seasons. That was an offensive line that I would put up there with some of the best.
I was gonna say, I think Chris was the only one that kept playing. Did you go anywhere and play anywhere else, Dan?
That second year when we started the pro team in Springfield, we were at an OTA preseason practice, and some dude's diving on the ground when he doesn't need to. I mean, it's just an off-season practice, and goes right into my knee. I tear my ACL, fracture my tibia, strain my PCL, tear my meniscus.
Oh my gosh.
That was it.
I don't think I ever knew that. I don't think I ever knew that happened. Because he's making that
Dom
team.
Remembers because I was screaming so loud.
Yeah, I do remember.
I'm pretty sure the whole.
Yeah, I mean, Dom, he's making that team, right, Dom? Like, there's no question about it.
Oh, he's starting.
Yeah, he would have started.
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't know that. That's too bad.
You had to be quick enough to get into a place to get injured, so I avoided most of that shit for my entire career.
It was bad. I remember it. Yeah, I mean, it was. It would have changed things dramatically for the offense from the standpoint of him and Reynolds, because really it was just Reynolds at that point, and that poor son of a bitch. I mean, he gets in a bar fight with 100 people. It's going to take all 100 to take him out, right? But you can't at that level. You can't just have one guy, especially in the middle. It was just that was a tough day. I remember that because he would have definitely started and probably been all league, honestly. I remember even like the owners and everybody was like, "Oh shit, like this is what are we gonna do with this one?" So that was tough, and it was also tough because it was just another one of the guys that was on the team the year before that was no longer going to be there.
Right,
obviously sucked. So yeah.
Did Dalby didn't play? Did he? Did Dalby play?
He tried out, but he was even Troy. If you're listening, I love you still. He was even bigger the following season than he was in the 06 Stallion season, and he just didn't make it. He couldn't move, but honestly,
he wasn't a tackle.
Came into the tryout a little out of shape.
Yeah, he honestly, based on what we rolled out there, especially after the first couple games, I tried getting him to come back, and he was like, "No, absolutely not." But yeah, it was. He didn't make it. A lot of guys, I would say, probably almost the entire 06 team tried out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And I have no doubt Troy would have done well too. I mean, again, maybe he looked the part a little less, being a little shorter. The same.
Well, Troy's an interior guy, though. Remember?
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
Like Troy was a center at Illinois College.
Yeah,
probably should have, but he's not. I love Troy too. Wasn't better than Chris, and
he's the same width from knee to shoulder. He's just a block.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and I get this. I mean, when I went to college or whatever, and tried to play football a little bit, this is what hits you. A new regime comes in, and they don't just want to win games. They also want to look smart. You know what I mean? So when it came down to if it comes down to somebody who was there before, somebody else picked, and if it's an absolutely equal battle between a guy they brought in, you know how that's going to go. When it always came
Yeah.
down to a scholarship player versus a walk-on, hey, you got to prove the school why you're paying one guy money, right? So you see a lot of that, and I would bet you anything on the field, Troy probably didn't lose that battle to whoever it was.
Yeah.
You know?
No.
I mean, there was I actually played arena football for a couple years, so I kind of knew the game. You know, I got called up to Peoria for 2 whole weeks. You know, like I came into the training camp, got signed, got cut during went to the tryout, got signed, made training camp, got cut, but there were some dudes.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going against guys who played with Warner and the Barnstormers.
Yeah.
I mean, there were some dudes, and I was still pretty young. And then I ended up down in St. Charles, Missouri, playing for a little bit, and then that team kind of went bankrupt.
Is that like
Peoria
Minutemen or Cyclones, or who was that, Dan?
It was the River City Renegades at the
Renegades,
time.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then Pirates called me back up. Went up there for a little bit. I was just there to fill in for a dude who was injured, basically, once he got healthy.
Yeah.
Bye, see ya. Then I played another year in St. Charles, but unfortunately had to walk away because at the time I was just a teacher's aide. And at the end of the school year, you lose your job. You don't get paid through the summer. And I couldn't afford driving from Jacksonville down to St. Charles, Missouri, or Cape Girardeau 6 days a week for practice and games.
Yeah.
So we're like 6 years apart, Dan, and I don't know which one it would have been, but when it was really, really bad with the Pirates Rough Riders, I got a call from Dave Carrington, and it might have been at a similar time, and I would have said 006, and I'd already broken my toe. But number one, I told them they were just way off base. There's no way I was at that level. But number two, it was interesting was I worked, and I couldn't disclose outside employment. I was trying to build up my career. I had to disclose it as an advisor and everything, so it didn't work out anyway. But I got a call, and I said, "There's no, you guys. Honestly, I'd be wasting the trip up there." But it was tight for them for a while, and I know linemen like. Shit, Dan. 3 of you would have fucking saved them.
I remember when they became the Rough Riders. The season I played, Cowdrey was still there, and they won the title.
Yep.
And then when they were the Rough Riders, and Goodwin was it Goodwin, Dom?
Goodwin, yeah.
Yeah. When he was there, he called me and just didn't like the information he was giving me. It didn't sound like, man, I'm not going to drive an hour and a half one way every day just to stick around for a couple weeks till the next flavor comes along. Because unfortunately in that league, I mean, you're not making a ton of money, $200-$300 a game. And so, you know, they'll just keep, you're not doing it. All right, we'll find the next guy.
Yeah. I was probably about 6 guys after that. But yeah.
Yeah, Chuck Goodwin.
I had to be 30. Had to be 30, maybe. I don't remember. Yeah, 32.
We had Goodwin coming to Stallions games, and I ended up signing with them and going up and practicing. And I was going to start for a game because they were down like 2 quarterbacks, and I ended up not passing a physical because of my shoulder dislocation from
drug test.
You can't say that, Brent. You can't say
absolutely drug test. No, it was drug related. It was the shoulder that Carlos Battle took out. So technically, right? But
if you threw one over 40 yards, your shoulder dislocated, and you had to.
What was my left one?
Do you want my 3 Vicodin arm, or do you want my 0 Vicodin arm?
Wasn't even the throwing arm; it was the left one. But yeah, I didn't. So I ended up not playing. But yeah, Chuck Goodwin came to a bunch of our games, and I always remember Fristo would always try and talk to him afterwards, and was like, "Dude, let it go."
Oh, Fristo.
Fristo was trying to get him a job with the Bears. That's what was going on.
Give me some memories that you have from that season. I have a ton of my own, and I know we trade them every now and then, but I'd love to hear kind of some things that stuck out for you.
Oh man. I mean, just that group of guys was just an awesome group to play with. going to show. What was that? What was that shitty wing place?
Show
We
me.
went to show me.
Show me.
The crappy wing place we went to after every game, but you know, it was hanging out with your boys, it was hanging out with your dudes. You know, couple teams, couple guys didn't like how I played. I always liked that.
Yeah, the head slap probably didn't go over too well.
Oh, you were a head slapper?
He
Was that the first?
somebody in the
Hey,
game?
they do it all. I love that an offensive guy was doing the head slap. They do it all the time to us, man.
He clapped somebody.
I
I'll
mean,
never forget it. And I remember being like, coming back to hell, I go, what the hell was that noise? And Gash, I was like, I head slapped the shit out of that dude. And it's like, that was your hand? Like a claw.
Yeah. I remember
if they wore that hair helmet too tight, man, and you could get the ear hole, homie. You could do a lot of damage, man.
oh yeah. But you know, it was fun. It was competitive. You know, the funny one you brought up a couple weeks ago when I grabbed you by the face mask.
Yep.
Said stay in the damn pocket.
So it's funny you bring that up.
Oh boy. Do you have access still?
Good. I can
Okay.
show you that play.
He's got the clip, Dan. He pulled it up.
Oh Jesus.
You can't see. I don't have it to where you grab me in the face mask. That was over on the sideline, but you can see you start barking at me. Let me get it teed up here.
Oh,
There you
this
go.
is great. I can't
Oh my
wait to see
Lord.
this.
Again, I figured that would give you a panic attack.
Hey,
They had to use
if
my screen. I'm up here trying to
Dom-
hide my search history.
Dom, if you can handle the chaos, if you thrive in it,
Oh,
more power
that's
to
like
you, man.
2 weeks. That's the last 2 weeks. I clear that thing out like 2 or 3 times a month. It's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Don Salvo, the
Ooh,
quarterback.
ooh, and audio.
God, we've got audio, and it's not Travis Lawson.
I know.
Salvo under center.
Who's playing tackle? That's not Dolby.
No, that's run or
Is that
Yeah.
Howlett?
Back to his left.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
now watch Gashaw. You see his mouth moving.
you're madder at yourself than he could even be, but still.
Dude, hey, I almost got through that. If I would have got around that last Buckley, got him, he clipped my leg. Otherwise,
And it was Buckley.
It was Buckley.
Buckley, yeah,
Jesus.
yeah. But
you're an athletic guy, but dude, it was that much.
Dan, do you remember any of the do you remember any guys that like gave you trouble or back then? Or I mean, again, because like you said, you only played the one season in the 8-man, and really we were just starting to scratch the surface of kind of, because like I would say probably 2 years after you guys, like you and Troy were done, there was some legit talent that came through there. But do you remember anybody in particular that really gave you fits?
Well, at practice, Big Lex and Pat Marler.
Yeah, we've talked about
Pat
Pat
Marler. That's my
here.
kryptonite, baby. Pat Marler.
I'd have bruises. I'd have bruises right here because of Marler's hand placement.
Yeah.
Come home from practice and that right outside where my shoulder pads were, I'd have bruises.
Well, and then he was younger than you by a lot, right? So he wasn't at Mac with you, was he? Yeah, okay.
No.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
We actually kind of sent him that way.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Gabe got him to Mac.
Well,
I thought he played before. I didn't realize it. I didn't realize that.
Oh, after that season.
Oh, okay.
The best thing about being out of the league and that football when you were probably, Dan, was that you never had to block any of the Seminoles' defensive line because they were a freaking load, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I mean, Marler got me and you know, now that I think about it, you're right. He'd have his hands here so that mine had to always hit his face mask, and he was either 15 or a sack. And I could never figure him out. But like Tony and I could both tell you, the guys that when Dom ended up coming back for the Seminoles that they went out and got, me and Lex always had a thing, but the guys they brought back on the edge were so, and even Lipscomb at nose on Tony, were so athletic. Good God, it was tough.
Mm-hmm.
It was tough.
Yeah, it's some speed.
Oh yeah.
We had some speedsters. Yeah, Marler was a young kid then. I mean, he was probably 21, 22, I think.
Oh, he wasn't even 21.
He was pretty young.
Because when we go out, he couldn't booze with us.
Right, yeah. Yeah, because I think he turned 21 like halfway through the season. So I remember he did.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was Pat was a dog, man. He was a tough player.
Who was at the other end for you guys there? I mean, I remember Marler, I remember Lex and Hodges.
Pete, what didn't Pete play some defensive end?
Defensive end. God, now, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. You had Hodges in the middle.
I was one.
I mean, Lex did both, I think, right? He played some end and some tackle.
Lex played both.
Yeah.
Played,
Who did you just say, Dom?
KI.
Okay,
KI was Stallions too.
Yeah, dude. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He never came to my side because I remember him from the Seminoles.
Yeah, he was Stallions.
I don't think he played in the last game for us. He didn't play in the playoff game.
Well, I don't
Brent.
remember him from the one out at Four Seasons either, honestly.
He might not have been at that one.
He might have missed
Dom.
both of those because
Yeah.
I never remember him as a
My
Stallion.
first KI story was the week of the first game that we just showed clips from. We had like an interview. I don't remember what it was. Dan, you were there. It was like an open house or something, and like the news was there, and we had the turf down, and everybody was talking.
Yeah.
Take a picture of KI, and he wouldn't let anybody take a picture of him. And we're like, what in the fuck is going on here? I don't want a picture. And then he took I remember him taking his shirt off because he was talking about how he had gotten shot, and we're like, well, yeah, okay. And he takes his shirt off in his back. It was like, whoa, dude, what?
Yeah.
What in the hell? How are you still alive?
Oh my gosh.
And that dude, that story, and then the one where he obviously, Dan, you weren't here for this, but the Stallions 07 season when the dude wasn't paying us and he hit Justin Geddes, the owner, in the face.
I remember hearing about that.
Yeah.
The noise, I will never forget the noise that him caving that dude's face in made.
Open fist or closed fist?
Closed fist.
Sometimes when it's the punch that sounds like a slap because you just know they got all the meat in there.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude.
It was bad.
I wasn't there, but that's probably what you guys heard. I mean, it just had to be a sick.
It was bad. Yeah. Made me want to throw up, honestly.
Oh man.
It was bad. But yeah, that was fun times with KI. And there was another guy. There was probably one or two other defensive ends that we had, or defensive linemen. I can't think.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think who played nose. Because I remember Hodges.
There was
Brad
Elton. I forget his last name. Big Elton.
Oh, we had Big Rich for a little bit.
Yeah.
I remember when he came. I remember when you guys signed him. Yeah.
We had Brad. It was Brad something. We had a guy named Brad something. I can't remember his last name.
Yeah, Brad.
34.
He was he was huge. He was strong.
Yeah,
stout little like fire plug.
No,
hard to move.
Yeah, dude, he was. Yeah, I remember that first game. Homer came out like 4 different times because he just nosebleeds, and we're like, "What's going on here?" I can't remember his last name, man.
Seems fishy. I wish you gotta see if you got a roster, Dom. You gotta find a roster.
I was just doing that and looking some stuff up, but it's bringing me to the red and black Stallions immediately. But
I'm sure I have it somewhere. But yeah, that was a wild time in our lives. So the funny thing about the whole story with Dan and grabbing me by the face mask, and like he never got pissed off. Like it would take a lot to piss that man off. He definitely never got mad at me, thankfully. But he before that, I was a runner. I didn't really learn how to play in the pocket until really that night. It's like when the light bulb went off, and my game changed a lot moving forward from that.
You stopped pressing R2 to try to outrun.
Yeah, triangle to jump over hurdlers. And yeah, he really changed the game for me, though. I mean, honestly, because then after that, I mean, you see other clips, and it's like I'm just stepping up right off his backside.
I would say probably though, like the calmness, and this is just me kind of being around the game a while, and this is you probably just knew you were better than everybody, Dan. Like it's a like I never had that feeling. I know Brent never had that feeling, but like I can remember like Businger never got angry because he knew he was better than everybody. I'm sure it's kind of the similar, Dan, where it's the confidence to know like I've gone against better competition all over and in practice. Like I'm gonna be okay versus Buckley.
I was angry. I was angry because they didn't know it. Okay, so
you were angry because the air was windy. Like, let's be honest.
Oh shit! Hey Dan, I got to tell you, you bring up Lex Wolford, and I mean, I know like we had our moments. One of them, of course, in that game in the center. but and some forum and Facebook exchanges after. I was there in 2002 when Lex Wolford showed up to the first Springfield Bucks practice he'd ever play in. That year we went 1-8. And Lex showed up to a practice out at Rotary Park, hadn't quite grown into the dreads yet. Like they were short. Like they didn't, he shouldn't have done it yet. Right. But nobody knew who he was from Philly or whatever. He said, we didn't have enough helmets. And Lex wanted to play linebacker. He ended up, of course, as a lineman. But he wanted to play middle linebacker. So he went out there and we're like, okay. And, we'll go like 3/4 speed. 3 plays in a row, Lex head first tackled the dude below the waist without a helmet on. And
that doesn't surprise me at all.
I will give him that credit to this day. And he just hopped up, dusted himself out. And at that time, tried to play linebacker, put his hands on both knees and was ready to go again. So part of me always liked Lex because head first tackles 3 times against a running back when everybody else on the field had a helmet.
You're wild, man. He was a guy that set the tone for our defense too that year. I mean, we had our defense was great that year.
Oh yeah.
Characters across the board, but we had a lot of good leaders as well. I mean, the offensive line was full of them. Tony Carey was a pretty good leader when he wanted to be. Wasn't much of a blocker, but was got the one clip of him blocking ever. Jamie Ford was a pretty solid leader for us. George was the guy that led by example. He didn't really say much.
No, George never talked.
No,
yeah.
George didn't say much.
He never talked, but he would always,
There's a guy who didn't have to say a word.
No.
Never had to say a word.
You had a lot, but you had a lot of like you had Swick, you had Rolf. Like those guys were both.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Swick,
Gade.
Yeah, Kevin, right.
I mean, he was an All-American.
Right.
Yeah, that's a killer secondary with those 3. And I don't even remember who the corner was on that team, to be honest with you. Should probably know that. But yeah, there's athletes all over the place. Joe Moore at linebacker. Joe Moore was a guy that never
that was the first year you guys brought up Goldstein too, right? I mean,
Goldstein was in there. Yeah, Mr. Goldstein.
Yep.
It was a great time. I still always say that team in 06 would have won some games in 07. We wouldn't have won a lot of games, but we would have won a couple of games.
We would have won some, I think.
I agree. There's no question about it. You guys would have beaten because you know how that league went. Somebody would have traveled poorly to the convention center, or you guys would have been able to get everyone to travel somewhere against somebody, and because you would have had continuity and you would have had camaraderie that you guys didn't have. I mean, because Dom, you didn't miss a game the next year, did you? Like you were active every game. I mean,
I was active every game until the last one. Yeah.
Okay. But you guys would have definitely won games.
They made a big mistake in at least not transitioning in it, and even in the transition, some of it would have stayed the same. Like Tony, you'll know this. Dan, it might be new to you, but remember when Chris tried to bring the Outlaws back after 3 years of the Bucks going 1-8 or 0-9, 0-8, 1-8. Who'd he call? He called Big Rich, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he called Dave Robertson. He called me
and
Tom Gaskins, right? And again, not all of us stuck around and were starters at the end of the year. Boosh shows up, right?
There was some. Oh yeah, there was definite. There's a definite veteran presence,
right? But you transition that, and guys know each other, and the squad knows each other, and the locker room knows each other. And down the road, there really weren't that many bad feelings. There's less roster spots on an 8-man team, but he calls Shatovius back, right? And by the end of the year, the starting line doesn't look like that. But you're able to transition it just to, hey, here we are in camp, and you guys can hit the bricks. Because I agree with you 100%. About half of those guys would have stuck, and the other half would have made the transition a lot easier.
Yeah.
No, there's something to be said about the camaraderie of a team, and it plays a lot. I remember kind of hanging down in the locker room for a few games. I still came around even though I was all banged up and on crutches and whatnot. But like everybody being from kind of all over.
Yeah.
Nobody really had a chance to get to know each other. So I don't know if you saw that all season that year, Dom. It was
that's
really
all he
hard
talks
for me to
about,
stick around
Dan.
and
That's all he talks about on here. That's literally.
It was a revolving door after about the 3rd game of the season of players. They would come in and be gone the next week and whatnot. But yeah, it was never really the vibe was never really the same. I mean, and that unfortunately, we lost in the championship, but that 06 season was the most fun I've ever had playing. And it was just I mean, I say this all the time, it was just a magical time. I mean, you don't realize it when you're living it in the moment, but like that was such a big deal. I mean, just the fact we're playing in there, the games were on TV, we had broadcast, we had an announcer, we had all that stuff going on. We got tons of paper coverage.
You guys
and
were the good. Somehow, you guys were the good guys. I
Well, we
still
were
don't know how
because
the fuck that happened.
because we
you
were.
got
I
guys
mean,
with shotgun blasts up and down their arms, ankle monitors up and down the sidelines, and somehow you're the freaking White Knights. I don't. I'm responsible for half of that, but not all of it.
we also. I mean, we also. We. I mean, we've talked about this a bunch. Like we had our differences, and we disliked you guys, but a lot of it was just we kept it was jealousy, obviously, because we'd always in our little corner would be like, it'll never happen. It'll never happen. And then it happened, and we were like, how the fuck does it happen? And then it'd go to the next thing, we'd be like, it'll never happen. It'll never happen. And so I mean, I mean, look, hindsight's always 2020. We look at it now and talk about it, and we always wish there were, things could have been better because we obviously could handle the two teams in the town. I think we were upset that it wasn't us getting all the good pub.
But to be fair, Herb Fullerton does, and again, I've said it when he was on this show, he deserves a lot of credit.
Oh yeah.
Because you look at what everybody said, oh, what could the Stallions and the Outlaws together have been? And it would have been amazing. But it never happens if Herb doesn't go out on his own and find Dan and find guys, like Troy, and find guys out there that KI, who weren't maybe approached or talked to the right way. Herb beat the bushes. It wasn't until he had to, we always revision history and say, God, we would have dominated. God, it would have been great. I probably wouldn't have started, but it didn't happen until Herb needed to start another team. That's the
Right.
truth. I mean, the two quarterback problem was definitely probably the coaching thing in the AFL where Herb felt disrespected, and the two quarterback problem probably initiated it. But man, it's kind of like we put the cart before the horse. We were never that great until there had to be two teams, and then we all wish they could all be on the same team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot to be said for that. Yeah. Herb is an enigma for sure, because for all the great things he did that year, he made some bad decisions going into the next year. There was a league, there was a step below the one we went into that he should have done. I can't remember the name of the league, but there was only like 6 teams in it. The team that was the most prominent was the Kansas Coyotes. They played out of Topeka, and then there was a couple other teams, but I would say it was maybe a step up of the AFL. They paid their players and all that stuff, but should have just kept it going for another year or two and got more momentum behind it. But I mean, he saw big lights and the opportunity.
Yeah. Well, even you look at, and I know Dan, you weren't around, but you took that year off. The talent that was on the 08 Seminoles, even like some of those dudes, like the Pfeiffer brothers and some of those Culver Stockton cats you got, like those guys could have played easily and been,
Yeah, the Culver Stockton guys definitely would have made the 07 Stallions. Lee Franklin and Chris Lee, those guys were bangers.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. One of the stories I was talking to my grandma about the other day, Dan, was I guess Alexander's in Springfield's closed.
True story.
Oh man.
Yeah. And she always laughs about the time. I think it was probably that first game. I remember we'll see if he remembers this.
Yep. Oh, I'll tell it. I love this story. This is one of my favorite stories.
Go for it.
So it was right before your first game back after you got injured in the first Outlaws game.
Mm-hmm.
And you come up to the three of us in the locker room and like, if I don't get touched this entire game, I will take you guys out to dinner wherever you want. Dom, not being from the area, had no clue what Alexander's was, whereas Chris, Troy, and I all knew exactly what Alexander's was.
Yep. Found out.
And so sure enough, he didn't get touched.
I was trying.
And he had to take us out to dinner, and he walks in, sees the menu. He's like, All right, you assholes. I'll pay for your dinner, but I'm not buying your beer and I'm not buying your dessert.
Those were the only beer mugs big enough for guys like you and me, Dan. I mean, remember those suckers
Yeah.
were, like this tall on the and
Oh yeah.
you were probably stuck with a really tough conundrum there because you wanted to force him to cook your steak, but you probably didn't trust him to do it.
Yeah.
So it was,
That was cool.
Yeah.
We were all, I remember it vividly, like all four of us were around, you could go up and stand on the grill and we all four around our own grill. And man, it was fun. But yeah, I remember not getting touched in that game almost to the point where I was like, I need to maybe let myself get hit. So I
try to get it. Let me run at this guy.
These
dude, that's
sons
the
of bitches
greatest
are gonna
semi-pro
eat,
analogy ever.
Yeah,
Like
they're gonna eat,
I gotta take this sack because we don't get paid enough for me to pay my 3-0 linemen to freaking to take them to dinner.
But
Who was it? Who was it against? Do you remember?
God, it had to have been if it was coming back from
You got injured in the outlaw game.
Yeah.
yeah, and I missed
And
3
then you weren't.
Chargers.
It was before that. Was it an arena game or was it an outdoor game?
If it's in Springfield,
I think it had to have been an outdoor game.
I think it was an outdoor game.
So it was probably, what I think it was probably Bushnell.
Maybe.
And we beat the shit out of them.
they got good though, man.
Yeah.
The whole Springfield, we always think we're special in that, but then you think about Macomb and Bushnell coming from that, right? I mean, it happens everywhere. And all of a sudden, Bushnell was fucking world beaters, right?
And truth be told, I never really got hit that much that season to begin with. The injury in the outlaw game was, I know Dan will remember this. Herb never called plays, and he wanted to call the play for this specific play, and he called some random bootleg that we had never practiced.
Of course.
Right into the bleachers.
And,
Right.
oh, I wasn't the bleachers. I was later. Whatever happened, I booted one way and Dalby went the other, and then the rest is history because Carlos Battle came in untouched and got hurt. But that season, I think after that game, I don't really remember getting hit a lot. Like when we played you guys in the playoffs, I don't think I got hit at all.
We didn't. Because that was part of the reason that we got beat.
We sold out.
We
sold out to get you, and honestly, and you found guys quick every day. I mean, that's the truth. I mean, you know it. I can promise you that Dan got hit a lot more than you did that day.
Dan got hit a lot that day.
I mean, and Pat Marler hit him half those times, and he was on my side.
Yeah.
Right. That's probably true. Yeah. The line though was great. Now the other story that I always tell, the infamous story, I don't know if you know this one or not, is, and I hope you know it because these two don't necessarily believe me when I tell them this, that Herb wanted to cut Tony Carey. Do you remember any of that?
Like, I believe. Well, trust me when you said that.
We don't know Herb.
Before the season,
I never heard that.
Dude, yeah. So before the season, where was it? We were practicing. It was a school gym.
The Boys and Girls Club.
The Boys and Girls Club, yeah.
Yeah.
Carpeted floor.
I remember that.
Because I practiced. I remember practicing there. Yeah.
So Herb was wanting to cut Tony at that point. Like we were probably a month out from the season, maybe a little less. And he was sticking around after practice. He'd be like, man, stay around, throw, stay around, throw, stay around, throw. Constantly would just stick around with that guy. And he ended up, we were like, Herb, he's making the team. And me and Pickett were like, this is insane. And then the guy turns out to be arguably one of the best receivers.
Who was he going to cut him for? Do you remember?
God, I don't know.
Like who was his?
Probably quarterback.
Probably no. Truthfully, probably Carlos Perry.
Yeah. Well, Fristo, Carlos, Jamie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember him thinking like he was fourth on the team, and I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck are you watching?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a wild time. And then, Tony, I anytime I talk to Tony and bring up Gashaw, you remember what he used to call you back in the day? He used to call you Mr. French and big guy and big Gashaw. You know what I'm saying?
Mr. French, that's right.
Gashaw.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tony Carey, what a character he was.
Tony's goofy, man. Why Mr. French? I don't get that. Is that an inside joke with the Stallions?
No, I never knew.
I think when they first announced my name for the first Stallions home game, they pronounced it like Gashaw or some weird pronunciation of it. Yeah. And he heard it, and that was it. That's all he needed.
He thought he was French. Tony
Man.
he was the nickname guy. He gave us all nicknames.
Did he?
That was his thing. I got Malibu Ken because I always showed up to practice in flip flops.
Fair.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was a good time though. I mean, that was a great.
Yeah, there was good dudes. I mean, and I only saw a little of it when I came to the Seminoles later. You know, you hate guys or whatever. But you know, like Chris was still playing, Dalby was gone. Yeah, Kevin Norris, great replacement, you know, in there for that side of the line, because Kevin was a stud. But you know, a lot of water went under a lot of bridges, and there were good dudes on. I mean, I never knew Dan. He was done playing before any of that happened, and you know, and I didn't know the injury either. I knew you got hurt, but that in a practice, that fucking sucks, man. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that. But there were, you know, we all just like playing football, you know. I mean,
Yeah. It gave me that last chance to wear the helmet.
Yeah.
It would have been nice to go out on my terms instead of an injury taking me out, but
Yeah.
man, I still got to play ball for that one more year.
Well,
So-
and for you, kind of similar to like myself and Brent a little. Well, not so much Brent, but like you got to play with Kevin again, right? Like for you, that was probably an unbelievable. Like that was probably just the icing on the cake, right? Yeah, you get to play ball, but you get to play with one of your best friends again.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like me with Boostinger. Like I'd known Aaron Boostinger since we were 5 years old. So for us to get to play again, and then I got to play with like Morris Williams, who I went to high school with, and
you drug a lot. You drug
yeah,
Kane,
oh
you
yeah,
drug
we drug a lot of
in,
guys
Tony.
out.
You did.
That honestly, it was a little selfish on my behalf because I just want to play football with my buddies again. And so that was, you know, so I'm sure that was for you. That was probably pretty cool to get to do again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Gage stuff was fun. You know, I was a pretty young guy then. I was 21, and I remember his son Tyler being around quite a bit, and you know, being out on the field after games. And there was a big picture of mine
That's that picture, right?
holding this kid, and that was always cool to see. I remember that, and I remember then after Tyler was at a couple games, I was like, well, I'm going to bring my kid, you know, and I had just gotten Lexi, Brent, if you remember, right?
Yeah, I do.
So there was a night before. I don't know if you heard this story, Dan. There was a night before a game. I can't remember who we were. It might have been that Tazewell game. I showed up at the convention center Saturday night before the game on Sunday at like 9 o'clock at night, and had a tennis ball and my little puppy, and knocked on the back door. Remember the back door we would all go into?
Yeah.
And the security guy opened the door up. He let me come in. I come in with my dog, and we're literally sitting up against the wall midfield, and I'm just throwing the tennis ball, and this little Labrador puppy's running, and she ended up pissing on the 5-yard line. So there was a little pee stain there for a little bit, but it wasn't quite publicized as good as Kevin and his son.
Yeah, imagine a picture of that in the newspaper.
It was a good moment though. But yeah, man, that season was just man, it was a fun time. I miss it. So miss the guys, you know, and the offensive line, these guys have said it a bunch, but I mean, you guys set the standard for me. I mean, you guys were above and beyond the best core group of offensive linemen I ever played with, and was very fortunate to play behind you guys. You know, the year before that, I played behind a terrible line, which is probably why I was scrambling as much as I was part of the season. But, thankfully, I got to play behind you guys for a season. I grew a lot. I learned a lot from both you, Troy, and Reynolds about just being a quarterback and a leader. So you guys really helped me out quite a bit. So really appreciate that. I always have. And you protected me. I know I was a loudmouth and would piss off the opponents quite a bit, and you guys had to take my back on that shit because I'd always hide behind you guys. But
Fine. That was fun.
Yeah, always appreciate it. And our first game
that's
was
the stuff. I mean, these guys can agree with me. That's the fun stuff of being an offensive lineman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh no, I like to be on the front lines. I'm not backing anybody up. I'm gonna fire the
Brent.
first
Yeah,
shot.
Brent's
you know,
throwing us under the bus.
I can't. God, I couldn't wait. Wait.
The first game that season too. You brought up the MacMurray thing and playing with Gate. Our first game that year was at Mac too.
Yeah.
Which was probably
the old backfield. Yeah.
Yep.
Miserably.
You know, now that's I think the only junior high plays there. It's the old Mac field.
Yeah.
You know, Mac, of course, being done. Routes new, home field is the new
The
field.
new Mac field.
Right. And yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, that field was where I practiced in high school. And it was it was special for us too. You know, it was the triangle down at the in by the railroad tracks was where Route
Yep.
got to practice when that was Mac's home field, because Jeff Alderman had come from MacMurray before he started coaching at Route. But
Dan, do you still have
There
your
were a couple Max guys that coached at Route.
yeah,
Perkins.
yep.
I played with Perkins, and then Barry Creviston is who I
yeah.
actually coached
Krevy's
at
back
Route
now.
after I
Yeah.
graduated
Yeah.
with Barry, and yeah, he's back there now. I mean, it was just right there, and
Yeah, right across
just
the
kind of
street.
kept feeding in.
Yeah.
Dan, you still have your Stallions jersey from 06?
You know, if you were still in the area.
Yeah, I live in Springfield, still working. I work down on the square.
No,
in
he was saying
Jacksonville.
he was just talking about going to Mac. It was I remember getting recruited by them. I went to IC, so I mean I remember we always
went
hated
to the other way.
the Mac guys. The Mac guys hated us, we hated them.
Tony, you were kind of like in the
Yep.
bridge before. Like Mac was way better earlier because they would get kids from all over the country, and IC was just getting like the old WIVC kids.
So
Bill Anderson started bringing in some CS8 kids.
Well,
and really
no.
Bill
was gone when I think I'm only a year or two behind Dan.
Okay.
So I remember being in high school and reading about Jamie Lee and the Carter brothers and like the guys that
Played
were
with
absolutely
Gade and those guys.
just bull whipping everybody. And then Mac took a dip, and then they came back a little bit with Chris, who was the head coach when the school closed down, unfortunately. But
IC just started to spend some of their huge endowment on the sports programs, and it changed everything.
100%.
That's
MacMurray was a great school. My assistant who just retired, she went to school there. But the thing is about endowments is no matter how old it is, it was a women's college for a long time, and they went into jobs like teaching and nursing, and didn't necessarily go on to become CEOs to throw money back at the school. And it sucks because Mac was a great school.
Yeah.
Dan, before we jump off, man,
I'm getting notes under the door, so I gotta get going.
This is, I think it might be one of the finest compliments I throw out on here, but one of my best friends who stood at my wedding was Troy Helton. You probably know the story. Troy passed a few years ago from COVID. And there's just some guys, Dom, I put you in this category, who just show up in those type of leagues for a little while and people still talk about them, right? I mean, there's lifers like me, and there's guys like Tony who played long enough that it's not like, oh man, he was just here for a while. Tony was a career great player too. I didn't play college, but Troy was like the epitome of that to me. Guy who showed up, played 4 years, blew his knee, couldn't play. If there's an O lineman who fits that description, it's probably you. People still talk about Dan Gashaw. You played 2 seasons in the league. I'm not kidding you, man. I mean, you set a great standard in a short period of time. So my hat's off to you. You guys were an intimidating group. You were a cohesive group. I'm glad I wasn't on the field when you were, but it was, you guys really did a lot. You changed the career of your quarterback, and Bobby Collins here all of a sudden became a world beater. So congratulations.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I've never really thought like that. I mean, I just liked playing ball.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all it was. I loved playing, and if I could have, I would have kept playing. But that knee injury just took me out, and then I was coaching in Havana and I was nowhere near anything.
The Ducks? I didn't know that. Great.
Yeah.
It all got better when you got those Balakai kids, right? That's when Havana just really.
that was a rough stretch of my coaching career.
Yeah.
Man, I know we're at time. It's been great.
We are. Yeah.
Oh man.
Okay, I said hello, and we need to make plans to get everybody together. Alexander,
For sure.
Alexander's is closed, but maybe we can find a steakhouse.
There's one here in Peoria.
Yeah, I'm a little bit better financially now, so
he got me back with all my rent and a case of beer like 13 years ago. It was awesome.
Nice.
So he's good.
very true. So
man.
Tell Kate I said hello, man, and it's good seeing you, brother.
Yeah.
Will do. It's good seeing all you guys.
Thanks for coming
Appreciate
on, Dan.
you guys having me on.
Great to see you, man.
Good
Thanks,
talking,
Great
guys.
seeing you guys.
See you, brother.
See ya.
See you, boys.
You gents.